The cold metal walls of the training hall echoed with the sounds of heavy footsteps and low murmurs. It was the main hall of the space station Nova Prime, far from Earth, deep in the star system called Zarnis. This was no ordinary place. It was a training ground for the strongest cadets from many planets. They came to learn how to fight, how to survive in space, and how to protect their homes from dangers nobody on Earth had ever seen. Today was different. The hall was filled with tension. Cadets stood in groups, watching something that made even the toughest of them hold their breath. At the center of the room, a young cadet named Rian was pinned against the wall. His back hit the cold metal hard, and he could barely breathe. His opponent was huge, an alien soldier from the planet Vrexus. This soldier was tall, with green skin, sharp eyes, and muscles that looked like they could crush steel. The Vrexusian had one hand gripping Rian's shoulder, and the other raised, ready to punch. "Give up, Earthborn," the alien growled, his voice deep and rough. "You are weak. You don't belong here." Rian struggled, but the Vrexusian's strength was too much. The crowd around them was silent, waiting. No one moved. Everyone wanted to see what would happen next. Suddenly, a soft but clear voice cut through the silence. "Stop." Heads turned. From the back of the room, a girl stepped forward. She was small, with dark hair tied in a tight ponytail and eyes that shone with calm strength. This was Mira, an Earthborn girl known for her quiet ways, but sharp mind. No one expected her to step in. The Vrexusian soldier looked at her with surprise. "You? What can you do?" Myra said nothing. She simply walked toward them, steady and sure. The crowd held its breath again. Rian tried to speak. "Myra, don't." But she raised a hand, signaling him to be quiet. The alien soldier laughed, a low, dangerous sound. "You will regret this, Earthborn." Myra stopped just a few feet from them. Her eyes locked on the aliens, showing no fear. "Let him go," she said calmly. "Or fight me instead." The hall was silent for a moment. Then the alien snarled and moved forward quickly. Myra was ready. The fight began. Myra was fast, much faster than anyone expected. She dodged the alien's punches with ease. She moved like water, flowing and quick, hard to catch. The alien swung his heavy fists, but Mira was light and quick, slipping away before he could land a hit. The crowd watched in amazement. This small Earthborn girl was holding her own against a Vrexusian warrior. Rian struggled to stand as the alien tried to grab him again. But Myra kept the attacker busy. Suddenly, the alien soldier lost his balance after Mira dodged a punch and tapped him lightly on the side. The crowd gasped. Myra didn't stop. She pushed forward, her small fists punching with more power than anyone thought possible. The alien stumbled back, surprised. The fight had changed. Rian caught his breath and slowly stood up. He watched Mira fight with hope in his eyes. "How is she so strong?" whispered one cadet nearby. Myra didn't answer. She stayed focused, fighting not just with her body, but with her mind. Then, something unexpected happened. The alien soldier, angry and frustrated, called out loudly, "Help! I need backup." From the corners of the hall, other alien soldiers moved quickly toward them. The fight was about to get worse. Myra saw this and took a deep breath. She wasn't scared. She was ready. "Rian, behind you!" she shouted. Rian turned just in time to block a punch from another alien soldier. The crowd scattered, some cheering, some worried. The hall was full of noise now, shouts, punches, and the sound of feet moving fast. Mira fought with everything she had. She pushed, dodged, and struck. Every move was careful, smart. She was not just fighting for herself or Rian. She was fighting for everyone who believed in peace and strength. But the numbers were against them. Mira's arms began to ache. Her breath came faster. Then, Just when it seemed like the aliens would overpower them, something changed. The captain of the cadets, a tall man named Kiran, stepped forward. "Enough!" he shouted, raising his voice above the noise. Everyone stopped. Kiran looked at Mira, then at the alien soldiers. "This is a training hall, not a battlefield," he said firmly. "We test each other to grow stronger, but we do not fight to hurt. Let this be a lesson, not a war." The alien soldiers grumbled, but stepped back. Mira breathed hard but stood tall. Rian came beside her, grateful and amazed. "You saved me," he said quietly. Myra smiled a little but looked serious. "This is only the beginning," she said. The crowd was still silent, but now full of respect. No one doubted Myra's strength or courage. In that moment, everyone knew something important. This Earthborn girl was not like the others. She had a power, a spirit that could change everything. Far above them, the stars blinked cold and distant. But inside the training hall, a new light was born, a light of hope. The training hall slowly calmed down, but the air was still thick with tension. Everyone's eyes were fixed on Myra. She stood quietly, her chest rising and falling with heavy breaths, but her face was calm like a quiet storm. Rian watched her closely. His heart was still pounding from the fight. "How did you do that?" he asked softly. Still amazed, Mira didn't answer right away. Instead, she looked around at the other cadets, many of whom were whispering to each other. Some stared in awe, others with doubt. The Vraxusian soldier who pinned Rian was glaring, but there was a new kind of respect hidden behind the anger. Suddenly, the loudspeaker crackled, breaking the silence. "Cadets! Emergency alert! Unknown vessel detected near the outer sector. All units prepare for inspection and possible defense." The announcement spread quickly like fire through dry grass. Whispers turned into urgent talks. The space station was not just a training ground, it was also the first line of defense for this part of the galaxy. Kiran, the captain, stepped forward again. His voice was sharp, commanding. "Everyone, to your stations. We don't know what this vessel is, but we must be ready." Mira felt a cold chill run down her spine. The peaceful training hall had turned into a battlefield in an instant. But she didn't hesitate. She knew this was her moment. Rian approached her, eyes full of worry. "Be careful," he said. She nodded. "I will." As they moved through the corridors, the lights flickered. The hum of the station's engines filled the air with a steady pulse. Outside, the stars seemed colder, darker. They reached the command center, a large room with walls covered in glowing screens showing maps, signals, and sensor data. Kiran was already there, speaking with officers and technicians. "The ship is not responding to any hail," one technician said, pointing at the main screen. "It's moving closer, but we can't tell if it's friendly or hostile." Myra studied the screen. The vessel was unlike anything she had seen before, large, black, and silent, almost like a shadow in space. "We need scouts," Kiran said. "Volunteers?" No one moved. Then Myra stepped forward. "I'll go." A silence fell over the room. No one expected the quiet Earthborn girl to volunteer for such a dangerous mission. Kiran looked at her, surprised but approving. "Are you sure?" She nodded firmly. "Yes." Rian stepped closer, a mix of fear and pride on his face. "Don't do anything reckless." Mira smiled briefly. "I won't." Within minutes, Mira was suited up and in the small scout ship. The door closed behind her with a hiss. She took a deep breath and glanced at the controls. Her hands were steady. This was more than training. It was real. The scout ship launched into the blackness of space. Stars streaked past as she moved toward the unknown vessel. Inside the ship, everything was silent except for the soft beeping of instruments. Mira's eyes never left, the screen showing the approaching shadow. Suddenly, The screen flickered. An image appeared, an alien face, strange and cold. Stared back at her. No words, just a silent warning. Myra's heart jumped. She activated the communication panel. "This is Scout Myra of Nova Prime. Identify yourself." No answer, only silence. Then, without warning, a beam of blue light shot out from the dark ship, hitting Myra's scout. Alarms blared. The ship shook. Myra gripped the controls tightly. She pushed the thrusters, dodging the beam. Her mind raced. Why attack without warning? Who are these aliens? Suddenly, a voice came through her headset. Kieran's voice, calm but urgent. "Myra, fall back. The ship is armed." Myra hesitated. She wanted answers, but she knew when to listen. "Returning," she replied. The scout ship spun away, narrowly escaping another blast. As she headed back, Myra's thoughts were heavy. This was no simple mission. Something big was coming, and she might be the only one ready to face it. Back at the station, the cadets prepared for battle. Everyone looked to Myra now, not just as a fighter, but as a symbol of hope and courage. The quiet Earthborn girl had stepped into a storm, and the storm had just begun. The space station was buzzing with nervous energy. Everyone was talking about the shadow ship and the warning Myra had sent back. But deep inside, Myra felt something heavier, like a secret waiting to break free. After the scout ship returned safely, Myra was led to a quiet room away from the others. Captain Kieran waited for her, his face serious. "We need to know more about you, Myra," he said quietly. "You fought well today, but there's something different about you. Where did you learn to fight like that?" Myra looked down, her fingers curling into fists. She hadn't told anyone much about her past. Most people saw her as just another Earthborn girl, quiet, small, and unremarkable. But inside, she carried a secret she wasn't ready to share. "I trained on Earth," she said slowly. "But it was not like here. My training was different." Kieran raised an eyebrow. "Different how?" She took a breath. "My father was a warrior. Not just any fighter. He belonged to a secret group called the Sentinels. They protected Earth from threats no one else could see." Kieran's eyes widened. "Sentinels? I've heard stories, legends, really. But no one has seen one for centuries." Myra nodded. "I am one of the last. I was sent here to learn, to prepare. Because the threats we fight, they are coming back." The room felt colder, heavier. Kieran leaned forward. "What kind of threats?" Before Myra could answer, an alarm sounded. The station shook violently. "Attack!" a voice yelled. They rushed out of the room to find chaos. The lights flickered, and red sirens flashed. "Enemies have breached the outer defenses." Kieran shouted, "All cadets to battle stations." Myra's heart pounded. The shadow ship was not alone. A fleet was coming. Rian appeared beside her, fear in his eyes. "This is worse than we thought." Myra grabbed his arm. "We have to stop them." As they moved toward the weapons control room, Myra's mind raced. Her training had prepared her for moments like this, but nothing could prepare her for a real war. Inside the control room, soldiers manned the stations, firing lasers at incoming ships. Myra focused on the screens. The enemy fleet was fast, aggressive. Kieran turned to her. "Can you help us?" She nodded. "I know their tactics. The Sentinels studied enemies like this. Let me try something." Myra reached out and touched the control panel. Her fingers moved quickly, tapping into systems only a few understood. Slowly, the station's weapons began to shift, focusing all firepower on their lead ship. She said. The screens showed beams of light shooting through space, hitting the enemy vessel. It shook violently and exploded in a bright flash. The cadets cheered, but the battle was far from over. Suddenly, a new message came through clear and direct. "This is Commander Zelthar of the Void Fleet. Your resistance is futile. Surrender or be destroyed." Mira's blood ran cold. Zelthar was a name from ancient legends, an alien warlord who ruled the darkest parts of the galaxy with fear. Kieran clenched his fists. "We don't surrender." Myra stepped forward, voice steady. "Then we fight, and I will not let them win." Outside, the stars burned bright with fire and danger. Inside, a hidden power began to wake inside Mira. Secret of the Sentinels was not just training knotted, was a force she had kept, hidden waiting for the right moment to rise. That moment was now. The space station trembled as the Void Fleet's ships drew closer. Bright flashes of light and distant explosions painted the black sky outside the thick windows. Inside, the cadets and soldiers scrambled, preparing for the fight of their lives. Mira stood near the command center, her eyes sharp and focused. She could feel the power inside her stirring, like a quiet fire waiting to blaze. But first, she had to face a different kind of challenge. Suddenly, the main doors slammed open. A tall, armored alien stepped inside, his skin dark blue, eyes glowing like embers. He carried himself with a cold confidence. This was Commander Vrax, the leader of the alien soldiers who had pinned Rian earlier. "I have come to challenge you, Earthborn," Vrax said, his voice low and strong. "If you can defeat me, I will order my fleet to stand down." A hush fell over the room. Everyone looked at Mira, waiting. Rian stepped forward. "Don't let him fool you. He's dangerous." Myra nodded, but didn't back down. "I accept your challenge." The room cleared as the two faced each other. The air was thick with tension. Vrax smiled cruelly. "I will enjoy this." They moved to the training arena, a large circular space with walls that absorbed sound. The only noise was the soft hum of the station's power systems. The fight began. Vrax attacked first, fast and fierce. His punches were like thunder, shaking the ground. Mira dodged, moving smoothly, using everything she had learned from the Sentinels. But Vrax was different. He knew her style. He blocked her strikes, countering with skill and power. "You are strong," he said with a smirk. "But you lack experience." Myra's mind raced. She needed to think faster, move smarter. Suddenly, Vrax grabbed her arm and spun her toward the wall. She crashed against it hard, breath knocked out of her. The crowd gasped not, but Myra didn't give up. She focused on the power inside her, a secret she had kept hidden. Slowly, her eyes glowed faintly. The air around her seemed to shift, almost alive. Vrax's eyes widened. "What is this?" With a burst of energy, Myra broke free and pushed Vrax back with a force he didn't expect. The arena shook. Mira realized something. Her secret power wasn't just strength. It was something more, a connection to the ancient energy the Sentinels had once controlled. Vrax growled in frustration. "This is not over." He stepped back and disappeared through a hidden door. Myra stood alone, breathing hard but stronger than before. Kieran approached her, pride clear on his face. "You passed the test. But this war will need more than strength. It will need courage, heart, and unity." Mira nodded. "I'm ready." Outside the walls of Nova Prime, the fleet waited, watching, planning their next move. And inside, a new hope was rising. The Earthborn girl was not just a fighter. She was a symbol of something greater. A future where different worlds could stand together. The space station was alive with tension. The battle was far from over, and the shadow of the Void Fleet loomed close. Yet inside the walls of Nova Prime, a spark of hope was growing, one that would change everything. Myra stood in the middle of the command center, still feeling the power of her secret energy. Her fight with Commander Vrax had shaken everyone, even the toughest cadets. But Myra knew this was only the start. The enemy was strong, and the fleet was coming. Suddenly, the station's alarms rang out again, sharper, louder. The outer defenses were failing. Kieran's voice boomed through the halls. All units, prepare for immediate battle. Reinforcements incoming. The words sent a wave of energy through the cadets. Many were scared, but others looked to Myra. She had changed how they saw the fight. She was no longer just a quiet girl from Earth. She was a leader. But Myra knew she couldn't face this alone. Just then, a heavy door at the back of the command center hissed open. A group of new arrivals stepped inside. They were different, strange in their appearance, but strong. Aliens from distant planets, warriors who had heard the call for help. The first was a tall, silver-skinned woman with eyes like glowing stars. She moved with grace, but carried a heavy energy. Her name was Lyra, a scout from the planet Zereth. Beside her stood Jorik, a giant with orange rock-like skin and eyes full of fire. He was a soldier from the mining colonies of Kronos, strong and fierce. And last was Tess, a small but quick engineer with bright blue hair and a sharp mind. She came from the floating cities of Aris, skilled in machines and tech. Kieran stepped forward. We welcome you, allies. Nova Prime needs your strength. Lyra nodded. We have fought the Void Fleet before. They bring destruction wherever they go. Jorak's deep voice rumbled. We are ready to stand with you. Tess smiled, holding a small device. And I have a plan that might turn the tide. Mira felt a rush of relief. These were more than allies, they were hope. Tell me your plan, she said. Tess moved to the holographic table and placed her device on it. The room filled with glowing blue maps of the space station and the approaching fleet. The Void Fleet attacks with fast, small ships, Tess explained. They strike quickly and retreat. But they have a weakness, poor shields, and limited communication between their vessels. Lyra pointed at the map. If we can disrupt their connection, their fleet will lose coordination. They will become easy targets. Jorik slammed his fist on the table. Then we attack their communications hub. Kieran looked at Mira. This is dangerous. The hub is deep inside enemy territory. Myra's eyes burned with determination. I'll lead the mission. No one spoke. Everyone knew the risk. Lyra stepped forward. We go with you. Jorik and Tess nodded. Together, the team moved quickly. They suited up in armor designed for stealth and speed. Myra felt a calm inside her, mix of nerves and excitement. The small ship that would take them to the enemy's communications hub waited at the station's edge. As they launched into space. Mira looked at her new allies. Each one was different, but they shared one goal: to stop the Void Fleet. As stars rushed past as they flew through the black void. The silence was heavy, but everyone was ready. After tense minutes, the enemy ship came into view, a massive vessel. Dark and silent like a ghost, Tess whispered. This is it. The team moved carefully, slipping past patrols and silent drones. Inside the enemy ship, the air was cold and strange. They reached a large chamber filled with glowing machines and wires. This was the communications hub. Suddenly, alarms blared. We've been detected. Lyra shouted. The team rushed to work. Tess connected her device to the central console, her fingers flying over the controls. Outside the room, enemy soldiers poured in. Heavy footsteps growing louder. Jorak took a deep breath and prepared to fight. Mira stood at the front, ready to protect her team. The first wave of enemies crashed against them. Jorak's strength was unstoppable. He knocked them back with powerful blows. Lyra moved like a shadow, striking fast and disappearing before the enemy could react. Mira fought with her secret power, pushing back soldiers who tried to get close. Tess stayed focused on the console, sweat on her brow. Almost there, she said. Suddenly, A shadow moved behind Tess, a huge soldier ready to strike. Mira turned just in time, blocking the blow. "Not today," she said, pushing the attacker away. With one final tap, Tess activated the device. The machines in the room began to hum and glow, sending a strong pulse through the ship's systems. Outside, the enemy fleet faltered. Ships lost power, their lights flickered, and weapons shut down. Back on Nova Prime, the cadets and soldiers saw the change. Kieran smiled. "The fleet is weak. Now is our chance." The station's weapons fired with new strength, hitting the enemy with powerful blasts. The tide of battle turned. The enemy ships began to retreat. Myra and her team hurried back to their ship, breathing hard but victorious. As they returned to Nova Prime, the station erupted in cheers. The new allies were welcomed as heroes. Mira stood with them, feeling a new strength, not just from her power, but from friendship and trust. Kieran approached. "This victory is just the beginning. The Void Fleet will return." Mira looked at the stars. "Then we will be ready." The fight for the galaxy was far from over, but now they had a team, and together they would face whatever came next. The battle outside Nova Prime had quieted, but inside, the tension was far from over. The victory was hard won, but the Void Fleet was still out there, lurking in the dark reaches of space. Myra stood on the observation deck, staring at the star-filled sky. Her heart raced, but this time, it was not fear. It was something new, a burning determination. Beside her, Kieran approached, his face serious. "They will return," he said quietly. "And next time, they will be stronger." Myra nodded. "Then we must be ready. We need more than strength now. We need a plan and something to turn the tide." Just then, a message came through the station's comms. Encrypted, urgent. "It's from an unknown source," Tess said, her fingers flying over the controls. "But it's a warning. The Void Fleet has a secret weapon. Something powerful that could destroy Nova Prime in minutes." The room fell silent. Myra's eyes narrowed. "What kind of weapon?" Lyra stepped forward, her voice calm but filled with urgency. "An ancient device, the Starbreaker. It was lost for centuries, believed to be a myth. But if the Void Fleet has found it, it could end everything." Jorek clenched his fists. "We can't let that happen." Kieran looked at Mira. "This is your fight now. You and your team must find this Starbreaker before they use it." Myra swallowed hard. The weight of responsibility pressed down on her. But she didn't hesitate. "We will find it," she said firmly. The next day, Mira and her team gathered in the strategy room. The holographic table showed star maps, with blinking dots marking known locations and rumors of the Starbreaker. "We start here," Mira said, pointing to a small, forgotten moon called Dravos. "It's near the edge of the system. If the stories are true, the Starbreaker was hidden there." Tess nodded. "I've prepared a ship that can sneak past enemy patrols. It's fast and quiet." Lyra smiled. "And I know a few old allies who can help us on Dravos." Jorek grunted in approval. "Then let's move." The journey to Dravos was long and tense. The crew stayed silent, each lost in their thoughts. Myra's mind was busy, replaying everything she knew about the Starbreaker and the legends of the Sentinels. When they finally landed on the moon, the surface was barren and rocky, bathed in a cold blue light. Strange ruins spread across the landscape, ancient structures half buried in dust. Lyra led the way, her senses sharp. "This place holds secrets," she said softly. "Be ready." The team moved cautiously through the ruins, the silence broken only by their footsteps. Suddenly, the ground trembled. From the shadows, figures emerged, cloaked warriors, armed and watching. "Who are you?" Mira demanded. One stepped forward, lowering his hood. It was Kale, a former sentinel and friend of Myra's father. "You shouldn't be here," Kale said. "The Starbreaker is not a weapon for anyone's hands. It's too dangerous." Myra's eyes burned with determination. "If the Void Fleet gets it, they will destroy everything. We have to stop them." Kale hesitated. Then, with a slow nod, he said, "Then I will help you." Together, the group descended into a hidden cave beneath the ruins. The air was thick and cold. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the walls. Lighting their path at the cave's heart was a massive chamber, filled with ancient machines and glowing crystals. In the center stood the Starbreaker, a huge device, pulsing with energy. Mira stepped closer, feeling its power hum through the air. But as she reached out, alarms suddenly blared. The Void Fleet soldiers poured into the cave. Led by Commander Vrax. "You are too late, Earthborn," Vrax sneered. "The Starbreaker will be ours." A fierce battle erupted. Mira and her team fought hard, but the enemy was strong and well prepared. Just when it seemed they might lose, Mira felt the secret power inside her rise like a wave. Her eyes glowed brighter than before, and the air around her shimmered with a cry. She unleashed a burst of energy that pushed the enemies back. Kale joined her, combining his sentinel power with hers. Together, they held the enemy at bay long enough for Tess to deactivate the Starbreaker's main core. The device powered down with a low hum. Its threat ended, for now, as the last enemy fled, Mira stood in the glowing chamber, breathing hard. Kieran's voice came through her comb, filled with relief. "You did it. You stopped the Starbreaker." Myra smiled, but she knew this was only one battle in a greater war. The Void Fleet was still out there, and they would come again. But now Mira was ready, with all eyes at her side, a secret power awakening, and a mission to protect the galaxy. She was no longer just a cadet pinned to a wall. She was a leader, a beacon of hope. And the fight for the future had only just begun. The chamber was quiet now, the soft hum of the deactivated Starbreaker fading into silence. Dust settled over ancient stones as Myra and her team stood together, catching their breath. Outside, the stars sparkled cold and distant. But inside the cave, something warmer grew, a sense of victory, and something deeper, respect. Myra looked around at her allies. Lyra's silver eyes shone with quiet pride. Jorak's strong arms relaxed, but ready. Tess wiped sweat from her brow. And Kale, the old sentinel, gave a rare, approving nod. Even Kieran's voice through the comms was full of relief. "You stopped the Starbreaker. You saved Nova Prime, and maybe more," Kieran said. "We owe you all our thanks." Mira felt the weight of his words. She wasn't just a fighter anymore. She was a leader, a protector. But with victory came questions and new challenges. Back on Nova Prime, the mood was different. The cadets gathered in the main hall, eyes wide with curiosity and admiration. Word of Mira's mission spread fast. The Earthborn, girl who led a teen into enemy territory and stopped the greatest threat in decades. Rian pushed through the crowd to reach Myra. His face was a mix of awe and relief. "You really did it," he said quietly. "I didn't know you had that inside you." Myra smiled, but her eyes were serious. "There's more to me than you think." Rian looked confused. "What do you mean?" Before she could answer, Kieran stepped forward. "Everyone listen. What you've seen is just the beginning. The galaxy is full of dangers and heroes. Mira and her team showed us that we must stand together. Different planets, different peoples, united." The crowd murmured, some nodding, others still unsure. Lyra stepped beside Mira and spoke. "We have all fought alone before. But this war needs more than strength. It needs unity. We must trust each other, Jorak added, and fight as one. The room filled with a new energy, a hope that maybe, just maybe, they could face the darkness together. That night, Myra stood alone on the observation deck, looking up at the stars. The cool breeze whispered past her, carrying the sense of metal in distant worlds. Kale appeared quietly beside her. You carry a heavy burden, Earthborn. Myra nodded. Sometimes it feels too much. Kale smiled gently. Your father was the same. But strength is not just power. It's the courage to keep going, even when the night is darkest. Myra's eyes glistened. I want to protect everyone. But what if I fail? You won't, Kale said firmly. Because you're not alone. You have friends now? Allies. Myra looked at him, grateful. Meanwhile, in the shadowy corners of the galaxy, Commander Vrax stood before the Void Fleet's leaders, anger burning in his eyes. We were beaten by an Earthborn girl and her ragtag team, he growled. This cannot happen again. A cold, dark voice responded. The Starbreaker was only the first step. The true weapon lies beyond the veil, a power that will crush all who oppose us. Vrax clenched his fists. Then we will find it. And when we do, we will finish what we started. The screen went dark. The galaxy waited, holding its breath. Back on Nova Prime, the Alliance grew stronger. Myra trained with her new friends, learning from Lyra's sharp tactics, Jorak's raw power, Tessa's clever inventions, and Kale's ancient wisdom. Each day brought new challenges, but also new hope. Rian stayed close, growing stronger too. He watched Myra with admiration and something deeper, respect and friendship. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the station, Mira gathered the team. We won this battle, she said. But the war is far from over. We must be ready. Lyra nodded. We'll stand together. Whatever comes. Jorak grinned. Let them try. Tess smiled, already working on new gadgets. We'll be ready. Kale placed a hand on Mira's shoulder. And I will teach you everything I know. The Sentinel's secrets are yours now. Mira took a deep breath, feeling the power inside her, but also the warmth of friendship and hope. This is just the beginning, she said softly. Story of the Earthborn girl who once was pinned to a wallhead. Changed. She was no longer alone. She was a leader, a symbol of courage, unity, and hope. And together, they would face whatever darkness the galaxy threw at them, for the future, for peace, and for all who believed in the power of standing together. The stars outside Nova Prime glittered like tiny diamonds against the endless blackness of space. But inside the space station, a new energy filled the air. Excitement, tension, and hope all mixed together. The battle against the Void Fleet had been fierce, but it was clear the war was far from over. Myra stood on the observation deck, her eyes fixed on the distant stars. The victory at Dravos had been important, but the message from the Void Fleet's leader, Commander Vrax, echoed in her mind. The true weapon lies beyond the veil. What was this veil? No one knew. But Myra's instincts told her it was something dangerous, something powerful. Kieran approached quietly, standing beside her. We have little time, he said. The fleet is regrouping. If the weapon is real, we must find it before they do. Myra nodded, feeling the familiar fire inside her. We won't let them win. Back in the command center, Myra gathered her team. Lyra, Jorak, Tess, Kale, and Rian stood ready, their faces serious but determined. This mission will be harder than any we faced, Myra began. The Veil is a region of space covered in dense energy storms and strange magnetic fields. It's dangerous, and no ship has returned once it enters. Lyra studied the star maps, tracing a path. We'll need stealth, speed, and all our skills to get through. Tess tapped on her tablet. I've been working on upgrades for our ship shields that can handle the storms and engines to boost speed. Jorek cracked his knuckles. Sounds like a challenge. I'm ready. Kale's voice was calm, but strong. The Sentinels believed the Veil was a barrier between worlds, protecting something ancient and powerful. Rian looked at Myra. What if the Void Fleet already has the weapon? Myra's eyes burned brighter. Then we have no choice. We must stop them before it's too late. The team prepared quickly. Their ship, the Starhawk, gleamed under the station lights, ready for the dangerous journey. Myra checked her gear one last time. Her secret power hummed quietly inside her. Waiting. As the Starhawk launched into space, the crew felt the weight of the mission ahead. The void was vast and cold, and the unknown stretched before them like a dark ocean. The Veil was exactly as feared. Storms of crackling energy danced across the sky. Magnetic waves twisted the stars into strange patterns. The ship rocked violently as it pushed forward, shields glowing bright to protect them. Mira stood at the helm, eyes sharp. Hold steady, she said. We're almost through. Suddenly, a pulse of energy hit the Starhawk, shaking it hard. Alarms blared. Tess worked quickly at the controls. Magnetic interference is strong. We're losing power in the engines. Jorek gritted his teeth, gripping the railing. Keep going. We can't turn back now. Lyra scanned the readings. Something's out there. Sensors show movement, not ships, but something alive. The crew fell silent, fear mixing with determination. From the darkness of the Veil, a huge shadow appeared, a massive creature, unlike anything the crew had seen. It moved with slow grace, tentacles glowing with strange light, eyes burning like stars. An ancient guardian, Kale whispered. The Veil's protector. Mayra felt her heart pound. The creature was huge, but not immediately hostile. It watched them carefully, like a judge deciding their fate. Mira stepped forward, raising her hand slowly. We mean no harm. We seek only to protect the galaxy from a greater danger. The creature's eyes flickered. Then it reached out one glowing tentacle and gently touched the ship's hull. A wave of energy passed through the Starhawk, and Myra felt a strange connection, as if the creature was sharing knowledge. Images flashed in her mind. The true weapon, hidden deep in a forgotten place beyond the Veil. A power so great it could either save or destroy worlds. Suddenly, the creature retracted its tentacles and let out a low, echoing sound. A warning, or perhaps a guide. Lyra nodded. It's showing us the path. The Starhawk's systems realigned, shields strengthening as they followed the Guardian's silent guidance through the storms. After hours of tense travel, the team reached a hidden star system, surrounded by shattered asteroids and glowing nebulae. In the center floated a ruined station, ancient and broken, but alive with a strange energy. This is it, Mira said softly. The place where the weapon is hidden. The team landed carefully, stepping onto the worn metal floors. Strange symbols covered the walls, pulsing with light. As they moved deeper, they discovered a chamber filled with crystals that glowed with power. At the heart was a device, unlike anything they had seen, humming with raw energy. But before Myra could reach it, the Void Fleet arrived, led by Commander Vrax himself. You're too late, Vrax sneered. The weapon is mine. A fierce battle broke out. The chamber shook with blasts and energy strikes. Mira fought with everything she had, her secret power blazing bright. Her allies supported her with skill and strength. At a critical moment, Mira reached the device and placed her hands on it. The power surged through her, overwhelming but pure. Visions flooded her mind, memories of the Sentinels, ancient battles, and the choice that came with such power. She realized the weapon was not meant to destroy, but to protect, if used by the right hands. Mira focused, channeling the energy, turning it into a shield that spread over Nova Prime and nearby systems. The Void Fleet's attacks faded, their ships forced to retreat into the darkness. As silence returned, Mira looked at her team, exhausted but victorious. "We stopped them," Lyra said, "but the war will continue." Myra replied. Kieran's voice came over the comms, filled with pride. "You've done the impossible. Now, it's time to prepare for what comes next." Back on Nova Prime, the Alliance celebrated, but Mira knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast and full of dangers. But with friends, courage, and ancient power, they would face the future together. The Earthborn girl who once was pinned to a wall had become a beacon of hope for all. And the new mission, to protect the galaxy, had just begun.